Hello and welcome. It is so lovely to see so many old faces, but also so many new faces in the room. Wrinkle, no, not old as in terms of age. No, but there's people here from 15 years ago at the Carlton shelter. So it's lovely to see some old faces and new faces as well. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today on a Saturday, coming out to hear all about the great work that Sydney Dogs and Cats is doing. I'd like to start just by a little shout out to the team in the room. If you can just stand up and give a wave as I say your name. We've got some new team members here. Jenny in the front here is our volunteer coordinator. Thank you, Jenny. Karen, head of fundraising and marketing. Eleanor up the back, turn around with a swivel head in our marketing and fundraising team doing partnerships. We've got Nate at the back who's pulled all of our events together, including this one. Thank you, Nate. Tessa. Thank you, Tessa, in the marketing and fundraising team. And we've got Dean here. Dean is an all-rounder with us who is absolutely fantastic, here to help with AV, but he's also out at the kennels. He's out with the cats. He does lots of work around Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. So thank you for our team for being here today, and they're available after this session if you have any questions. Sorry, of course, we've got sitting down in the corner. We've got Laura in the middle, head of animal care, our new shelter manager, Tash, and Sam on the end. Sam's been working with me on our Kurnell project. Thank you. I was looking around, couldn't see any more staff. Thank you. So we're all available at the end of this session if anyone has any questions that you would like to ask directly to us. So let's kick off. So today we're going to have a little look at the year gone by. We're then going to have a look at what's coming up and where we're at with our new shelter build, which is very exciting, and a look at how you can be involved in that journey. At the end, we'll have an open Q&A. So if you have any questions, please wait till the end and we'll come back and address them. And for those online, excuse me, I've got a bug in my throat. For those online, if you can put some questions in chat and we'll address them at the end. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land that we're gathered on today. Various lands from the people dialing in. We're standing here today on the land of the Dharawal people, and I'd like to acknowledge their elders past, present and emerging. The picture I've put here is of Wales. The local totem, Indigenous totem, is the whale, which I think is absolutely beautiful. So a bit of housekeeping for those of you who are joining us online. Please stay on mute, use the chat button, use the feature there to ask any questions that you might have. And if you do want to engage in the Q&A, please turn your video on. For those who are here in person, obviously emergency exits where you came in and to the side, and there's bathrooms out the doors behind us if you need them. So let's have a look at the year gone by. It's been a really busy year. So while we've been building our new shelter, we've also been taking care of lots of beautiful little babies that have come in. So we've had 842 cats have come through our doors, 451 dogs and 66 little pocket pets. Pocket pets, for those who don't know, are the beautiful little bubbers that will fit into a pocket, guinea pigs, rabbits, birds, and all the little ones. So nearly 1,200 of those came in via councils, which is our main service that we're providing. Over 100 were either surrendered or dumped, and 73 were returned from adoption, no fault of their own, of course. So going out, we had 725 cats go out, 711 were adopted, which is a really big number. 14 went back to their owners. Out of 381 dogs, about 60% were reclaimed and went home, which is a really great figure, and 156 were adopted. So that reclaim figure is something that we're always trying to grow. It's always in our interest and the animal's interest to get the animal home when we can. So we've been looking after a number of council areas, these 9 council areas. So we have grown in the numbers of councils that we support. North Sydney, Waverley, Inner West, Randwick, Bayside, Georges River Council, Parramatta, Strathfield and Lane Cove, and the bottom 3 are new councils for Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. So we've been providing service across those 9 council areas. And in addition to that, we've also been providing vet and desexing services to Sutherland Shire Council, Campbelltown, Fairfield, City of Sydney. And we've also been working with Cat Protection Society, RSPCA, and we're part of the National Desexing Network, providing low-cost desexing services. So we've had a really busy year, as you can see. So it's not just the animals coming in that we're looking after, it's also supporting these other organisations with their initiatives, helping to get as many animals desexed as we can and back out into communities. So a little snapshot of how we've done financially. So just over 4 million income this year, with expenses just under 4 million. So we've had a net profit in the last financial year of just under $300,000, which is fantastic. Anything that's a profit in our world is to be celebrated because that's a very hard thing to do. And what's important with the little pie chart there is about 50% of our income has come from fee for service. So the services that we're delivering to councils, and the rest is made up from the generosity of donors through fundraising and donations. So the goal is to change that percentage. I would like us to get bigger and bigger with the fee for service model so that we are less reliant on fundraising dollars, particularly now more than ever as it gets harder and harder to fundraise. So we're constantly working on how we can improve that ratio so that the fundraising dollars aren't to keep our doors open, they're actually to contribute to really impactful projects to support the community and the animals in need. So that's the goal. Expenses, our main expense is employment costs, particularly now our ratio of staff to animals is the highest it's ever been for a number of reasons. We're operating under 2 sites, which means we have a lot of staff. We're also less reliant on volunteers in our sites because we don't have the room and ability to use a large volunteer network that we used to rely on so heavily. So our employment costs have gone through the roof. So that's something when Kurnell opens that we can really look at bringing down and getting in balance again, utilising volunteer support as much as we possibly can. Capital campaign, we had a total income of just under $2 million this financial year, which is a really big number and absolute credit to the fundraising team. Shout out to Karen. That's a hard thing to do when you're raising $2 million to keep your doors open, to then raise another $2 million to build the shelter. So it's a huge effort. We've spent just over 1.7 of that so far back into the build, and of a lot of expenses are coming up now as we come towards the completion of the build. So we've still got a lot of work to do in that space. I think we were hoping for probably about $5 million, but we're very happy with 2, and we're going to keep working towards that larger figure that we're fundraising for. So we're going to hand over now and talk about the animals because I know that's the passion for everyone sitting in the room. So I'm going to ask Laura and Natasha to come up. So Natasha joined us about 2 months ago as our new shelter manager. I think you've all probably met Laura over the years. She's been with us for quite a while, but the 2 of them really are absolutely fantastic in looking after all the animal care needs all the way through from intake, shelter care and vet. So I'll start with you, Laura. Thank you.
Well, hello, everyone. It's lovely to see you all. Thank you so much for coming today. For those of you I haven't met, as Mel said, my name's Laura. I'm Head of Animal Care at Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. And basically that means I have the privilege of supporting both the veterinary and shelter aspects of the home. So big role, big privilege, and it's been another big year. So I've been with the home now for about 4.5 years, and every year when I reflect on the year that's been, I think, oh, that was a big one. There were lots of challenges, but we did some amazing work. And every year I think we can't top the year that's been, but I think somehow the last 12 months we've done it again. So all the departments essentially have worked tirelessly together with our volunteers to get as many beautiful animal outcomes as we possibly could. And it's something that I'm very proud to stand up in front of our community and say, we've done a good job the last 12 months again. Now, this has not been without challenges, just a few little challenges along the way. As you are all aware, we've been functioning in our temporary facilities, which has been challenging to put it slightly. We have also had really high animal intake numbers, which we always welcome with open arms. But of course, the more animals that we have coming in, the harder everyone has to work and the more challenges we are faced with. We've had another big kitten season. Again, every year I think, oh, it can't be as big as last year. Not correct. It was another big year. We've had lots of complex medical cases as well, which I feel really proud also to say we've risen to the challenge and tackled those cases head on and gotten some really amazing outcomes for the animals. And I suppose another challenge that's worth mentioning is recruitment and retainment for our departments. To get the caliber of staff that we want for the home and for the animals. Now, specifically within the veterinary industry, probably since about COVID, we've had a national vet shortage. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but it has proven a significant challenge for us. Not everybody wants to work in a shelter. I don't personally understand that as a vet, but that's a challenge that we're faced with and have been for a long time. But then COVID and a national shortage of vets has really placed us in an even more challenging position. So they are some of the things that we've come up against over the last 12 months. However, despite these challenges, we have achieved some really amazing results for the animals. And I suppose I'll just touch on the veterinary side of things and then let Tash go more into the shelter side. But essentially our overarching mission as the vet team is to not only provide the highest quality care that we can for our animals, but to stop and become a preventative solution for why animals are coming into shelters in the first place. So, of course, we're going to be here with open arms to help them when they do come in, but it's about how do we prevent them from coming in the first place. And if you have ever had a conversation with me, a desexing program is probably going to be in somewhere amongst that conversation. And that is something that we have driven hard again over the last 12 months. So just to give you some insight into some of the numbers that we have been able to achieve, for our shelter babies, we have done over 3,500 consults for them in the last 12 months. So to put that in perspective, when we're working with such a small vet team, because recruitment is so challenging, but we have still created 3,500 consults for our shelter babies, I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into the quality and standard of care that they're receiving. We also performed almost 1,000 surgeries for Sydney Dogs and Cats home babies. So that was another big number. We've been still offering private veterinary services. It's obviously not the main part of what we do because the shelter animals are our primary patients essentially. But we did 560 consults for members of public who were coming into us, whether that was purely to support the home or because they were from lower socioeconomic areas that just required that additional support. And we did 110 surgeries for private patients as well. Now, to get into that proactive preventative strategy of getting out into the community, educating, desexing and stopping animals coming into the shelters, We focused a lot on partnerships with local councils, as Mel had on one of the previous slides, also partnering with RSPCA, Cat Protection Society, and being a part of the NDN, which is the National Desexing Network. And through those different partnerships, we did another 530 desexings. So overall, just that snapshot for you guys today in terms of what we're doing for the animals in our community. And given the tiny little team that we're currently working within, I think that's some pretty amazing numbers. So after another big 12 months, which I've just kind of given you a little bit of insight into, what is next? Obviously, Kurnell is just around the corner, which is super exciting. And I know Mel will talk to that a little bit later. The plan for the vet team is to remain at Strathfield for the next foreseeable future until we obviously have funds and the ability to establish a purpose-built vet hospital at Kurnell. But bottom line is we will be continuing to provide the services for our animals and to get out into the community and do what we can to prevent more babies coming into the shelter. What else? I'll be supporting from the sidelines for a little bit in upcoming weeks, but it's going to be another beautiful 12 months moving forward for the home. And yeah, just really proud to be a part of it. And thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Laura. Hi, everyone. So thank you, Mel, for the intro. My name's Natasha. I'm the new shelter manager with Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. So shelter life is very important to me. I've spent 18 years in the industry in sheltering. I've come from this being my 5th shelter. Shelters of all different sizes, from small to medium, and some of the biggest in the country. And many different roles within that space. So behaviour, intake, managing director, kennel team, everything. And I've seen a lot of animals, I've seen a lot of organisations, and I can honestly say I was privileged and honoured to be part of the Sydney Dogs and Cats Home and the level of care that the animals are being provided. And the work that the team and everyone in this room is working hard to provide to our community. So thank you for having me. So I did want to cover off on some of the things that we have been working through for the year. The animal care team worked hard to increase the foster care network with a view to being able to help some of our most vulnerable animals in the community. Some of those animals are coming into us through different areas. We have those coming in with ringworm, which is a very treatable but a long-term infection that needs to be treated, and some of those animals aren't given opportunities in other places, but I'm deeply proud that they are within our team. There also, we had neonate kittens coming in. We needed to get a foster care network on board to ensure that they had the care that they needed, and it's usually just that 2 or 3 weeks of someone giving their heart and their time and their home to these animals, and that gives them the ability to live a very long life. So there was a lot of work around that. And another big focus was around providing behaviour support for animals that are showing fear or high arousal levels within shelter. When we look to help those animals, we look to put them in a home environment, because if we were moving forward with adoption, we would be putting them within a home environment. So what we do is we rely on our foster care network to get those animals into a home and then being able to assess them to see what their quality of life looks like going forward. And I'm so proud that that's absolutely paid off. We've had an incredible year with our foster care team and our foster carers opening their homes and their hearts. That has saved animals that may not have had the opportunity before. So I'm very grateful for that. We also saw an increase in staff training around self-care. So those who have had the privilege of working in shelter or any care industry that is incredibly rewarding, but also can be tolling on the system. So there was a lot of work done in terms of supporting the team around how to look after ourselves. And that's been well received by the team, and that improves the quality of life for our team, but also that then goes on to the animals as well. Another thing that the team focused on through the year was upskilling into different areas. So our job, just like any care industry, is wherever the animals are in need, that's where we are. So we need to make sure that we are able to jump in wherever an animal is needed. So the team spent time within other departments to build their confidence and their abilities within that space that allowed us to provide a high level of care for them. In terms of some of the challenges we faced, as Laura and Mel highlighted, the temporary sites have come with challenges, there's no doubt, but that hasn't taken away from the staff and the volunteers' passion to provide the highest level of care possible within those restrictions. What it did do with, I guess, the limited space, especially at Austral within the kennels team, is we found it difficult to provide low stress environments. So in a kennel, arousal levels are naturally high with so many dogs on site. That's a very unique setting for an animal. So what you tend to see is higher arousal levels. If you don't have the spaces to reduce that level of arousal, that can be quite difficult to manage. So that's where the foster care team relied heavily on placement as well. As Laura pointed out, we did also have a sharp increase in animals, especially over the last 6 weeks. Dog numbers went pretty high. So what that did then was test our systems as an organisation to see how that played out. And it has highlighted some areas that we are going to build on through the year. With that, we also focused the year on building our surrender program. So what I did was reach out to different councils and shelters through the Sydney area, got an idea of how many animals were waiting to be helped within the community. There were unbelievable numbers that came through as part of that analysis. And so we joined together as a team to talk about how we can better help animals that are in need but are able to find a place. And we've reached out to the community and increased our numbers of animals needing care through our surrender programs. Cool. So where does that bring us for the year ahead? So obviously changing to a new site's pretty incredible. We're very excited about the kennel space and having lots of yards for playtime. So the first thing I guess anyone does when they move into a facility is they review their current operating procedures as you move into a new facility. So we'll be doing that as part of the move with the focus on increasing the level of care for the animals and increasing opportunities for them to thrive. That's going to be the focus of that review. We're also going to be looking to set consistent routines for the animals as they come into care and then move into foster care. The point of that is, so when animals come into a shelter environment, they have very little control over their lives. We tell them when to eat, when to sleep, when you're going out for a walk. That lack of control can cause an incredible amount of stress. So through standardising our process, what we're able to do is create a safer environment for them, and they're being able to transfer that into a foster home. What we'll also be looking to do is to streamline our adoption processes. So the focus around that is to reduce the delays between an animal becoming available for adoption and then being adopted. There's a lot of work that can be done in that space, which is we're very excited about getting to work on. As part of that, what we'll be doing is formalising our rehoming requirements. That's working with the team leaders and the managers to identify the best possible home for that animal, and then going through our own internal systems to find them the best possible place. We'll be doing that as part of the adoption review. And for us, obviously, more adoptions means more space, which means more lives to save in the community. So that's a huge motivator for us. And adoptions is the best outlet in the shelter. Cool. We'll also be applying some focus to developing a learning and development system, which is going to be the key items around that is improving care, husbandry, and creating a safe and supportive environment to help animals feel their very best. So we would be working with the volunteers and with our staff to build that program, and then we'll be rolling that out as part of a training program. And lastly, the other key project will be reviewing our foster program with a view to increasing the number of animals that we're able to place into a foster home with a view to giving them an opportunity to thrive, and developing our training programs for our foster carers that's focused around husbandry, upskilling in behaviour, especially behaviours that we see in shelter animals around fear and arousal, and how that we manage that in a home environment. So having that support network in place for our foster carers with a view to obviously better supporting them, and also having better support systems in place for our animals to hopefully result in better outcomes. So that's all I had for the year ahead, and very exciting. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I get very proud of our team when I hear them talking about not just what we've achieved in the last 12 months, but what's ahead. And when I say my team, it's not just our staff, our volunteers play such a huge part in that journey. And I'm very proud of the work that our staff and volunteers do for the animals to give them the highest level of care. So thank you to everyone involved in that process. Karen, marketing and fundraising update with Karen.
Hi, everyone. So that was a lot. There's a lot of work happening, I'm sure you'll agree. So the next question, of course, that comes up is, how are we going to fund it? But there's so much good work. And like Mel, I'm so proud to hear about what we're doing, not just with our shelter babies, but in prevention. It's a bigger approach. It's a more holistic approach, and it's absolutely fantastic. So what I wanted to do with fundraising and marketing is, for those that haven't met me, I've been working for Sydney Dogs and Cats Home for about 3 years now. We run appeals, we run fundraising for our home appeal, our capital appeal. We work with every area of the organisation to promote, plan, to talk about prevention, to give everyone really a platform to talk about what we need to talk about to prevent more animals coming into us. So we love what we do. We're really lucky to be doing this. So today I'd like to just paint a snapshot of the last year. I'm not that short. Wanted to paint a snapshot of the year, but before I do so, I just wanted to first of all say thank you to everyone here who here and online. Thank you so much for everything that you do. I see day in, day out, all the work that you do to help us fundraise, to help us spread the word about prevention, about what we do, about supporting our shelter babies. And I just wanted to say thank you. We couldn't have achieved what we've achieved over the last 12 months without you. People have donated, they've fundraised. I've had people that have had their weddings and instead of a wedding gift, donated funds to us. I've had people hold fundraisers, jog, run, cycle for us, and also come to our events and just help us out with events and volunteer for us. So thank you so much. We cannot do it without you. It's been a challenging year. So we've had a lot of successes that I'm really proud of. The team and I are really proud of that. We have had some challenges. Now, we've spoken a little bit about the challenges. We're in the cost of living crisis. It's hard to fundraise at the moment. It really is. On top of that, we are running 2 campaigns. So we are trying to keep the doors open and get, keeping the doors open for our shelter babies now. And we are trying to build a new shelter at the same time. That's a lot of money that is needed and a lot of support that is needed. But despite the challenge and despite the difficulty, I'm really pleased to say that we've had some great successes. I've picked only a few little graphs because I know I'll make you fall asleep if I put too much data in here, okay? But if we think overall fundraising and marketing income, we have raised over the last 12 months about 1.8 million, and that is against a budget of 1.26 mil. So we are 43% above target, which I'm really, really proud of. And we've been, despite the challenges, we've been able to do that because we have got approach. We've got a strategy. Our department strategy is based on the organizational strategy. We are data driven. We are pulling in more and more data, which again may make people fall asleep, but it means we know what works and what doesn't. We are looking at diversifying our income streams. So as people are challenged, as we see, a challenging marketplace, we can potentially bring in income through other sources. So we're a bit more stable. We're a bit more sustainable. We are also growing our audiences. We have got a fantastic community, but we've got so much to do and we want to grow that community. And we want to create more opportunities for people to donate in a way that works for them, in a time that works for them, and in a platform, at a time that works for them, so way that works for them, time that works for them, and how they want. So they can support us in a way that they want. So across the board, we've seen an increase against target. You can also see, to give you an example, with our tax appeal and our Christmas appeal, we have broken all records. They're Sydney Dogs and Cats Home records, but we've broken all records, again, which I'm really proud of. So for the tax appeal, we raised just over $346,000. And, we've had many donors that have donated regularly as well. They're continuing to do so. Our return on investment is 5 to 1. So for every dollar invested, we're bringing $5 back, which is really good in this marketplace. Given how costly it is to run a shelter and to do all these things that we want to do, we need to bring the money in. That is so, so vital. And last graph that you can see is BAU and capital, business as usual, to keep the shelter open, to do what we're doing now, and capital income. And if we take away the government's 12 million, you can see between 2023, 24 and 25, we've really increased revenue, really increased our income. So I'm really proud of that. Now, in addition to keeping the shelter open, we have our home appeal, which we launched in August last year, and it's been incredible. Our community has really come together. So we are running a 3-year campaign. We ran extensive ad campaign. We looked at dollar matching. We looked at events. We activated partnerships. We brought in the community. And I should note that we try to do things as cheaply as possible. So, for example, with ads, we actually secured a lot of pro bono advertising, which is fantastic. There's some paid advertising, but we had to get the word out there. We had to grow our audience. So that is what we've done. We've raised just 15.5 million out of our 21.6 million goal. And that's 72% of the way towards building our new home, which is fantastic. So we've got a few more years to go, and we're really ramping things up. I just wanted to also say we have had some extraordinary gifts. We've had 1 million from Basil Sellers Foundation. So thank you to Basil, Deb and Deb, who've been wonderful to work with. And we've had $500,000 from Gavin Simpson Education Endowment. And again, Vicky, thank you so much. It was so incredible. When she gave us this gift, I have to admit, Mel and I might have cried a bit, but absolutely incredible. Alongside all the thousands and thousands of smaller gifts that we are getting that mean so much. To give you a little snapshot, we've had 62 people generously donate over $1,000 just for this campaign. And we've had 44 regular givers donating monthly. And again, regular giving, when times are tough in the economy, regular giving, people still want to give. And regular giving is a way that they can do that. So we're enabling that as well. Now, our return on investment, when we look at our Make Home Happen campaign, is at the moment is sitting around the 2.4 mark. So for every dollar we spend, we get $2.40 back. That is really good for the first year of a 3-year campaign, because what we have to do is we have to set things up. We're starting from scratch for this campaign, so we have to set things up. And then the last thing is overall, across all our fundraising, BAU and capital, we've got just over 1,900 new donors. And that is fantastic because we are all about growing the community, and that's the kind of community spirit we're after that's really carried us this far. So the question on everyone's lips, I know, is how can you help? That's what you're asking, right? How can I help? We've still got some challenges to overcome. We do have to raise the $6+ million. We still have that to raise. And doing it in this economic climate can be challenging. So we are digging deep. I know it's possible. We've got a growing, fantastic community that really wants to make a difference. So how can you help? Well, I'm glad you asked. The first thing is we are having our very own Hope Blooms event. I don't know if you've seen it. I would love to see each and every one of you there. It's the first event that we've had really since before COVID, and it will be fantastic. The team has worked incredibly hard to make it a beautiful event. It's at the Calyx at the Royal Botanic Garden, Sydney, and it will be a fantastic event. And we're hoping we're there to fundraise, but we're there to celebrate everything we've achieved so far. So I'm really hoping that you'll all join us. We've also just launched Let Love Live On. So it's our free will writing campaign. And as you know, writing wills can be a really challenging thing, but we were hoping to offer this to our supporters so that we've partnered with Safe Will. They can write their will for free, and then they've got their peace of mind that they're supporting their family and their loved ones. And should they choose to leave a gift in their will to us, that's very much appreciated. But we're hoping to give back to our supporters in that way. We've got a few other things coming up. We've got a little housewarming micro campaign in September, October, which will be a lot of fun. So please look out for that, where you can actually think of like when you get a housewarming gift for a really good mate that has moved into their fantastic new abode. Housewarming campaign. Just that will happen around about September, October time. And we will be looking at doing another dollar match. And we all know how much people love a good deal. So there's plenty of ways to get involved. We're hoping you can volunteer at more events. Fundraise, we've just set up a new fundraising system called Pour It Forward. And there'll be a QR code in one of these posters. And if you wish to fundraise for, you could run, jog, sit up, cycle. Anything you want, really, to fundraise for Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. There's many things that you can do. But also, really importantly, it's about introducing us to other people, other partners, other organisations that might be able to help us. That's really important. Word of mouth is incredible. I've had friends of friends that have come through and become our partners. So if we could all just think of people that we could approach that might be interested in helping us out and getting involved in our new home, that would be fantastic. And sharing our content, of course, sharing anything on social media, our emails. Really appreciate anything that you can do. As I said, word of mouth is incredible. But look, to cap it off, I think fundraising isn't just about money. It really isn't. It is about the community. It's about building a community around us of people that believe pets deserve love, safety, and care. So thank you so much for being on the journey with us, and really appreciate everything you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. So we've heard some really great results for this year, but it doesn't come easily. There's a huge amount of hard work to achieve the great results that you've seen presented today. So thank you to the entire team. You always give your absolute best. It's been a really tough, I was going to say year, but a couple of years, and you've all just dug really deep to get these results. So thank you and well done. Kurnell, it's probably why you're here. Kurnell is finally coming to life, which is a very, very exciting time for Sydney Dogs and Cats Home. So you've all most of you in this room have been on the beautiful roller coaster journey that we've been on with Kurnell. It's been an up and down roller coaster for quite a number of years, and it's very exciting to now see our shelter coming to life. So let's have a little look at what's been happening. So the project kicked off in January. So the site was cleared. We had a heap of groundwork to do. The site has no power, no stormwater, no sewage or anything to the site. It was full of asbestos, Indigenous middens, all sorts of fun things to navigate through. So January and February, we did most of the ground clearing, demolition and preparation to be able to start building. So in March and April, we started putting retaining walls around the external perimeter of the property. We started putting in the stormwater and drainage, and when I saw the pipes going in, they are enormous. And I thought, isn't that a bit of overkill for this size? With all the rain we've had, thank goodness we put in these huge pipes. And then we started pouring the slabs for our kennel blocks. May and June, we started putting the framing up for the kennel blocks with the roofing and guttering going on, started doing the wall framing and put in all the electrical substations to the site. So it's been a very, very busy first half of the year. July and August, things really started to come to life on the site. So the kennel blocks are up, which is really exciting. The internal and external walls are done. The concrete paths and car park are all being compacted, and the maintenance shed work has begun. And yesterday, our demountable buildings arrived and are on site, which is a really exciting milestone for the project. So it's actually looking like a proper shelter now. So these demountable sheds were built off-site. So they're prefab shells that have been dropped on site. All the fit out internally still needs to happen, which is about to start. But it's a huge step forward for the project. So let's have a little look at it in action. We've got a little time-lapse video. We've had some cameras up, which I'm a helicopter parent and I've been watching every day. When I'm not on site, I'm watching the cameras to see what everyone's doing and the progress we're making. And nagging everybody, which you have to do. So this is watching the journey unfold. Now you're going to see a lot of rain on the cameras because we have had so much wet weather this year. It has been unbelievable. But credit to the builders and the team, even with the huge amounts of wet weather, they have pushed through and got things done as effectively as they can under the conditions. So this camera here, you can see this is the side of the main entrance with our car park, and you can see the framework for our kennels going up. The camera is on the opposite side, looking back at the kennels from a different perspective. So we can see here the car park area is getting prepared while they're doing all the framing for the kennels. More rain, then the site turns to a mud pit, more rain, and then we can see it really starting to progress now that the steel frames have gone up. Roof has gone on, car park still being prepared, all the retaining walls are up. It's a huge amount of work. So the wall framings are going up on the kennels as we speak. Thank you to Nate for putting this together. More rain, more puddles, more mud. So there you can see all the metal framing's gone up and they've now started to sheet the outside of the kennel blocks. More rain, more puddles. They've now laid the slab for the maintenance shed over on the left-hand side. They've done all the curbing for the car park now. Now they're putting the external sheeting on the kennel blocks. So the internal and external walls are done. More mud, more rain. The story of our life this year, let me tell you. And here we go. Yesterday, the sheds got dropped in. So that's where we're at. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but we are getting closer and closer to the end point. So September, October, we've got 8 weeks to go to completion. So it really is round the corner. So over the next 2 months, our shipping containers arrive, which we're using for storage. The walls and fit out of the maintenance shed go up. The animal care and staff areas are fit out. We put in the rainwater tanks and solar panels. We have a new kennel cleaning system going in to automate how we clean the kennels. The landscaping and fencing and signage goes up. So end of October is our due date. So fingers crossed the weather is kind to us from now on, because it has not been kind so far, that we can actually finish that build end of October, expecting to transition to the site in the first week or two of November. So that is really around the corner. So while all the building is happening, at the same time, we're doing all of our transition planning to make sure our people and our animals are set up for a really successful move to our new site. So Sam has been working on plans within plans within plans to make sure everything has been thought of and considered. I'm sure there'll be something we forget, but a huge amount of work is going in to ensure that we've got all of our policies, procedures, inductions and training for the site set up. So it's as smooth as possible for our people and our pets. What do we still need? So I'm missing 2 blocks of kennels. So we had to strip down stage 1 to just build what we could afford to build. So there's still 2 kennel blocks, these little babies in the middle. Still 2 kennel blocks to build. So I need to raise another $1.5 million to finish stage 1. So we're busy working on that, no pressure. We had to strip out our solar battery storage, which still needs to go back in, obviously for efficiency, so we can maximise the use of the solar panels. We need batteries to be able to do that. We have installed air conditioning into the kennels for climate control to ensure the babies are comfortable all year round. That's an expensive thing to run, which is why we've got the solar panels. So to make it more economical and sustainable, adding those solar batteries will really help us. So about $1.5 million to do all of that and fit out the cat accommodation and quarantine on site. We will probably just open with the adoption housing for the cats. We don't have quite enough money yet to fit out the rest of the cat housing, but as we fundraise, as we secure more and more funding, we'll put more and more into the shelter. So when you get your invitation to our opening, the site might not be fully complete, but we will be operational with everything that we can do with what we have. So it's an enormous job to get to this point, and it's been a lot of people over a lot of years for us to get to this stage. So huge thank you to everyone who has played a part, big or small, in that journey, whether it's fundraising, whether it's taking care of the animals while we focus on getting this work done. But I'm incredibly proud for us to go from potentially closing our doors only a couple of years ago to securing funding and now having built our new shelter. Incredibly proud of that work, and everyone involved should be incredibly proud of themselves and the journey that we've been on together. So it's a very, very exciting time. So just to reiterate how you can be involved in the journey, there's lots of different ways, and it's not just about donating money. Of course, money helps us complete the build and keep the door open, but there's so many other ways that you can be involved. So as Karen mentioned, our beautiful event coming up in September, Hope Blooms. It's a great way to just re-engage with the home, re-engage with the work that we're doing, and join us on this beautiful journey that we're on. Volunteering and fostering, they are the key parts of our organisation that keep us going, that allow us to do what we do. So if you can volunteer or foster a baby, that's so critical to our team, but importantly to the babies. Fundraising, obviously, as Karen talked about, we need about $2 million a year just to keep our doors open. We need another $1.5 million to finish stage 1. And then when we've done all of that, we have to start fundraising to build the vet clinic. So there is a huge journey ahead of us. So we appreciate all the help that we can get. Spreading the word is a huge part of this, letting people know who we are and the work that we're doing. There are so many animal lovers out there. We have one of the highest animal ownership in the world in Australia. So we know we're a pet-loving nation. So anyone that you speak to, come across who has a passion for dogs and cats, tell them about the work that we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, and see how they can be involved and support. Karen talked about leaving a gift in will. That's an enormous way to contribute to the organisation and make sure you leave a legacy with something that you're passionate about. Utilising our vet services. Laura was talking about the incredible work that the team, although very under-resourced, we're providing exceptional high-quality vet care at affordable prices because we know how hard it is to have animals when you're struggling financially and how expensive it is to provide the highest level of care. So we're able to support with that. So if you have animals, please bring them to our incredible vet team to look after. Buy our merchandise. And importantly, if you have any contacts that you can introduce to us, everybody knows everybody. So if you have someone that you know, oh, my daughter-in-law works at Officeworks and she can organise desks for you, or there's always someone that knows someone that can help, whether that be with a donation, whether that be with goods in kind, fundraising events through their workplace. There's so many different ways people can help. So if you have any contacts that you would like to introduce to us or us to them, please keep us in mind. So I'm going to stop talking now because you might have a lot of questions and there's been a lot of information shared. So thank you, first of all, for listening. And Mocha, and I can't remember which kitty cat that is. Looking at my team, Mocha the dog and, oh my goodness, I've gone blank. Well, she's got a hand up anyway, wanting to ask a question. Are there any questions on the chat? Are there any questions in the room? We'll just bring the mic around just so the people online can hear you.
Hi. Just with your home warming invitation, will you have like a registry of gifts you'd like, or will it be financial or?
Both.
But you'll have a registry.
We'll have a list. So please don't rock up with 100 kettles.
Yes.
But yes.
We would let you know what we will get, and then you.
Karen, would you like to answer that?
Sure. So we'll have a list of the things that we need, and then either you can contact us and let us know what you can get us, or we can purchase it. So then we would just, it would be all online as well. So we make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions in the room? And if you don't feel comfortable putting your hand up in front of everyone and asking a question, which is absolutely okay, there's tea and coffee in the back. You can grab a cup of tea. We're all in the room. Come and talk to any of us, depending on what your question is, and we're happy to answer them one-on-one if you feel more comfortable with that. Any other questions? Yes.
Where do I hold it here? I used to volunteer when you were at Carlton. Every morning I'd cycle there and come home and go to work, and I adopted 2 cats from there. They soon passed on. Okay. Anyway, about 8 years ago, I noticed all the cats on the street. And I have personally trapped 80 cats. And apart from other volunteers, friends I made through this, I got no help from council, no help from anybody. And I remember taking some kittens to Sydney Dogs and Cats home when it was a Carlton. They looked at me like I'd walked in with an elephant. They said, no, we can't take them. It's got to go through council. I said, well, what do I do? Plop them on the council desk. And we had a rally last Saturday. I mean, you heard about it, for all the street.
Yes.
And I went there, and I'm on the Cats in the Facebook page, TNR. And 80 cats, that's just me. So you did say about education, and they all need to be desexed. They should not be allowed to roam. That's a ridiculous thing. I've been to Bayside Council where I am. They will do nothing. And it gets quite frustrating as you can. I mean, you're doing a great job. I'm not knocking you or anything. I'm just, I can see things from another point of view because I'm living it. And the council website says, oh, if you see a cat, just leave it, don't feed it. Well, I have had so many arguments. I had a ranger almost pounced on me one day, and a council worker one morning when I was collecting this cat. Yeah. And it was on private land. It was very intimidating. Like a single female on her own and these 2 men. And
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank
that's a
you.
lot, and friends have donated, people on next door have donated.
Yeah.
So that is a major, major issue, and it's even worse in
Completely.
Western Sydney. It's
Completely
totally out of
agree.
control because people, obviously most, won't desex their cat.
No, I
And
completely
that's the other
agree.
thing I was going to say. Dr. Chris Cole, who was working at Sydney Dogs and Cats
Mm.
Home when I was there, and a lot of the cats I took to the former Benny and the Pets.
Mm.
And she got used to me going. She did a lot of work for street cats. And of course, you can't always predict when the cat's going to go in the trap. So you just sort of walk up with the cat in a trap. And she would always desex the cat first that I took in. And if the cat was really sick, she said, look, the kindest thing is to put the cat to sleep. And she'd do that at no cost. So, you know,
Mm.
she
Yeah.
had a good
Yeah,
rapport
thank
with
you.
her. But, you know, there's a lot of work needs to be done for these.
There's a huge amount of work in that space, and it's something that we've been very proactive from a legislation perspective. We've been involved in a number of parliamentary inquiries at a state government level and a local council level, looking at preventative measures that we can put in
Yes.
place, because that's really what it all comes down to.
Yeah.
When you have an issue, whether it's with the dogs or the cats, it's about prevention. How do we stop the problem? How do we stop them needing the support and the care? And how do we stop them coming into shelters? So that's where desexing programs are so critical. So, you know, we have a couple of councils who are very proactive in that space, running very targeted desexing campaigns. We do encourage all councils, and I know we have offered that service to Bayside as well, because they do have quite a large cat problem to be, yeah.
It's just within, you know, less than a kilometre of where my unit is, all these cats. I
That's
just kept
right.
finding people feeding them, but nobody was desexing. So, in fact, in lockdown one year, in the space of 20 weeks, I trapped 40 cats. I ended up with a hernia with all the living there. So I'm too old for this.
Laura, is there anything you would like to mention with that? Is there anything you'd like to touch on? I mean, I've probably covered it with.
Well, firstly, just thank you for working with the cats and within the community. There are definitely a lot of cats needing our support, and I think what it comes down to is we need legislative changes. And as Mel mentioned, we kind of work on it from both fronts, where we're targeting and trying to get in to get those legislative changes happening, but then we're also coming in from the other angle and helping the babies that come into our care as we can. I have no doubt that eventually there'll be changes that mean TNR programs are legal. And I guarantee you our vet team will be at the forefront leading those programs. Until that day comes, our hands are bound, you know, they're tied a little bit, but we'll continue to just do what we can in that space. But yeah, legislation changes is what we need, and we'll do what we can to support the animals in the meantime.
Each council has their own cat management policies and framework for their council. So all of our 9 councils operate a little bit differently to each other with their own interpretation of the legislation. So Bayside have their own animal management processes for their LGA. It's an ongoing piece of work around the combination of community education, council reform for their animal management processes. And that's something that we're working with all of our councils to try and promote really proactive changes. So it's a work in progress. I have been really impressed with councils' approaches. You know, we've got a couple of councils who we work with who have really taken on some proactive changes towards cat management particularly. So, yeah, still a lot of work to be done. Karen, up the back, please. Well, it's yes. The question was, has anyone approached Chris Minns? Outside of our organisation, a number of people have. We quite often are in contact with Chris Minns and his local government minister, which is Minister Honig. It's a long process. It's not something that they can change on a day after a meeting. There's a huge amount of work of consultation behind legislation reform. And a lot of work has been done this year in that space. So there's been a parliamentary inquiry into New South Wales pounds and shelters. There's New South Wales cap management consultation and reform. So there's a number of pieces of work happening from the state government level. So he is involved directly and indirectly, but it's not a decision that happens and then change follows the day after. It's a very long consultation process with a lot of different organisations involved. So we are very vocal in that space. Wherever I see an opportunity, I jump on it to try and promote really positive changes from a state government level. Thank you. Tessa. Online question?
She's just asked about the security at Kurnell.
Thank you. Yes, we have a lot of security at Kurnell. So we have layers of fencing as our first measure of security. Fences vary from 1.8 metres through to 2.1 metres in height across different areas of the site. We have CCT security cameras. We have lockdown swipe access. Members of the public will not have access to the entire part of the animal housing. It will be controlled. Something that we learnt through COVID is the best outcome for the animal is not having people wandering through the shelter. So for that reason, we'll be controlling movements across the site. But also from a security perspective, we know that there have been incidences in other shelters of people trying to come in and take animals. So we're setting up structures to ensure that the animals in our care are safe, our people and our volunteers on site are safe, and that we have the best outcomes for everyone. Thank you. Any other questions? It's 69 to 83 Sir Joseph Banks Drive, Kurnell. So it's literally next door to the desal plant. If you see the little map over here at the front, you can have a look at the end. So as you drive up Sir Joseph Banks Drive, we are neighbours with the desal plant. So there's a big blue sign. Karen at the back. Thank you. Sorry. No, unfortunately, it's not. It's not. I know it is a shame. That's right. Question at the back.
The question at the back was, is there any signage around the area for Sydney Dogs and Cats? Is that right?
Yeah, there will be signage. We are restricted with how far we can put signage out. So there will be signage at the front of the property. And we are restricted with what signage we're allowed to put up. Yes. But we will do what we can to put as much signage around as possible. Yes, by the 5th time you should find it. Council legislation around what's permitted in the area. Yep. Yes.
Just around the gifting through will process, is there any opportunity or what are your visions for opportunity of those gift givers? I would suspect that most families, if they have that they're going to execute on passing of a loved one, would probably like to see something that recognises that rather than the money just being absorbed and end of story.
Absolutely. Karen, would you like to speak to that?
Sure. So everyone that gives a gift in will, when we speak to the executor, it's different. Some wish to be anonymous, some don't. Those that don't wish to be anonymous, then we have a number of things we can do, and it varies by individual. Some people just wish to be mentioned on social media or in our annual report. Some wish to have, for example, we can look at plaques, we can look at recognition, depending on where their passion was as well. So we've had people that have had dogs and they love their dogs. And so we would look at how we can recognise them in a relevant way around dogs. For example, we will have a recognition wall. We're looking at how we can recognise our donors and our supporters in Kurnell in a beautiful and creative and meaningful way.
Yeah. And sometimes people give for a specific, specified funding. So they might say, I'm leaving $100,000 in my will that is to go towards a building or the vet. They might be specified. So in those instances, we can be very specific with how we recognise those gifts. Yeah. Yeah, there's a full framework around donor recognition, not just gifts in will, but general donations as well.
I was just wondering if you could possibly, while you're still building, have maybe a paved area or something where people could donate. And I know they did that over at the RSPCA.
Donate goods?
No, donate to have a brick and have a
Oh,
vestige on it or something.
Right. Yes.
A paver.
Yes. So our very first campaign that we ran was Donate a Brick campaign. So I think, I don't remember exactly how much we raised through that, but it was a really lovely campaign that we ran. So there will be things like that that we will continue to run. There are lots of different ways that we can do this, and different things are meaningful for different people. So we'll have things that people can connect to, and that will be one of them. Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah. Do you mean like a crematorium or a? So the question for the people online, because there wasn't a microphone, that's absolutely fine, is wouldn't it be good to have a place where people could take their deceased pets like a crematorium? The answer is yes. We don't have the permits for our site to have a crematorium on site. Other organisations, I know AWL in South Australia have quite a large crematorium on site and have turned it into a really successful income generation model for the organisation. Our permits don't extend to that where we are for a number of reasons, but there's a lot of environmental protected land around the space that we're on which restrict how you can use the site. It's a very good idea, and it might be something that we can do at a different site, but not on that specific location. They are very good questions. Yes, thank you. Are there any other very good questions, or even some?
I'm not sure at previous time. Was there a program where we can take the kids to walk the animals?
There are a number of different community programs that we had on site at Carlton. A lot of those were stopped for two reasons. One, COVID hit, and a lot of our community programs stopped because of COVID. And then when we relocated, we've had capacity constraints where we are to be able to continue those programs. However, the great news about Kurnell is that not only enables us to recommence some of those old programs that we used to run, but it also enables us to bring in new programs and expand on the work. So things like having children coming on site, reading to the dogs, having enrichment with the dogs, walking dogs. We do a lot of work with mental health, intellectual disabilities. We've got an army program that has been on hold that is just recommencing. So all these things will come back to life at Kurnell, and they will grow. And that's one of the things I'm most excited about the site, not just from improving our quality of care for the animals, but being able to really give back and connect to the community with our community programs and have an impact to both the animals and the people in our communities. The question online was, well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement. thinks that we're walking into a very, very good volunteer catchment, and I agree. Sutherland Shire has a huge number of people willing to volunteer, and a lot of our old Carlton shelter volunteers are based in Sutherland Shire, who I know are looking forward to coming back to the shelter when we relocate here. So we're really excited about getting some of our old faces back and looking forward to having new local volunteers join us. Yes, Sue. Good job. Thank you.
A while ago, I filled out a questionnaire. It was supposed to be some kind of workshop you were going to run when it came close to opening with volunteers to talk about procedures and how that was going to run. Is that still going to happen, or?
So we had the last one that you joined at Hurstville, Sam.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We had a volunteer consultation program that we ran. We gathered a huge amount of feedback from that we've been bringing into volunteer program design, and we have been consulting with volunteers since then to continue growing that program design. So we will continue to consult whether or not it's in that sort of form
I would
or
guess
not.
that it would be run very differently than Australia's.
It will be very different,
Hopefully.
and we will have a greater reliance on that volunteer network at Kurnell. No, it'll be quite a large program at Kurnell, and it's really important that we do extensive training and induction of volunteers before we start using the site, so that everyone's comfortable and safe in the space.
So is it going to be like, say, I was volunteering and walking dogs? Is that going to happen off site, or is it all going to stay on site?
It'll mainly be on site. So we have 3 exercise grounds on site, plus a perimeter walking track for exercise. Keeping the animals off the road and away from traffic is ideal. So we've set the site up, and you can see on the site map, there's lots of different spaces on site that we can use for training, enrichment, exercise, play, cuddles.
Might be something worth, because you've got the van now, you could say, right, let's take 4 dogs down, because there's a dog beach at Kurnell. I'm not saying let them off the lead, but you can still take them down there to swim, and
there are lots of opportunities like that we'll look into. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
$1 donation from the Basil Sellers Foundation. I mean, that's probably the biggest single donation you've ever had. Do you want to tell us a bit more?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. It was incredible, actually. It was really incredible. So Basil Sellers Foundation. Basil Sellers is an incredible philanthropist. He loves the community. He funds many different projects in the community. And they found out about us when they saw, I think, some ads or some of, us on media. And then they investigated further, just very quietly. And then they came to meet Mel and I. And we took them through Strathfield, and they're just Basil Sellers Foundation. There's 2 lovely ladies who work there, Deb and Deb, and they came in and met with us, and we just showed them what we were trying to do, some of the success we've been having thus far, and where we want to go in Kurnell and what we want to do. And then Mel continued to meet up with them, and they have kindly donated $1 million. And it was just, they could see, I guess they could see the value of what we were trying to do, right? Like they could really see where we were and the processes we've got that are underpinning what we do. There's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on in terms of what we do. And so we just explained it to them. We talked them through it. And then Mel spent a bit more time visiting Basil in his home and talking to him about just going into sort of in depth, right? And they were so moved, and they really wanted to contribute to the new shelter and contribute to the future of animals in Sydney.
Question up the back. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Can I have another volunteer runner? Karen's breaking down. Jenny, do you mind replacing Karen with she's hobbling around?
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. It's good for me to walk, really. Okay. So the question was some of the old volunteers that had worked in Carlton, will they be getting some retraining for Kurnell?
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. I keep saying old volunteers. It sounds terrible.
Previous volunteer.
Previous volunteers. I've also been saying old. All volunteers, whether they've been with us for a long time, haven't been with us for a while, every volunteer that transitions to Kurnell, new or old, will receive extensive training. It's a new site for everyone. So it's sort of wiping the slate clean. Let's start from scratch. This is how we're going to operate in a new facility, bringing in absolute gold standard best practice care, highest standard of safety for our animals and our people. So that will all be trained. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for the question.
And will that start before the shelter opens?
Yeah, anyone volunteering on site will need to have completed their training before they do their first shift on site. So depending on availability of volunteers, but we'll be doing it through a train the trainer model. So we'll have a number of senior volunteers identified, and they will be given extensive training on how the site functions and flows, and they will then support the training of the wider volunteer group, because there will be a number of volunteers which will be difficult for us to all train one-on-one. So we'll be doing it in a train the trainer model. Yeah, it's an exciting time. Any other questions? No? Okay, anything online, Tessa? Are we good? All right. Well, again, thank you for making the time on your Saturday to come and join us. It's really lovely to see you here. Thanks for hearing about the work that we're doing and joining us on this exciting journey to Kurnell. It's so close now, we can almost touch it. And the next 8 weeks will absolutely fly. So thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you do for the home and for the animals. And if you have any more questions, we're all here. Please come and talk to us, grab a cup of tea and have a chat. Thank you.